There it goes. All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Dave Wilson of the Ring of Hire Show. Tonight, I got Anna Morgan of Atlanta, Georgia. And how you doing, Anna?
Awesome. Staying up late for you tonight.
That's right. I'll tell you what. I'm going to introduce her what she does right after this video. You know how it goes, so be right back. I keep laughing when I look at myself.
It's a very fierce intro.
Woo! I feel like I'm in
it.
Oh my God, a stadium. That picture of me was just 2 years ago. And I'm thinking, what happened? I lost my hair.
I think that happens, to just recruiters. We've been pulling our hair out the last 15 months. So
I don't tease anybody. We have our first guest. If you haven't met Kenneth Dunner Jr. here, Kenny, savor the flavor.
Savor the flavor. We see each other in the comments and our other BFF friends' lives. So hello.
Yeah, Kenny, I think he's in every single one. Every time I go on a live, there's Kenny. But hey, everybody, I'm sorry, let me start over. I reached out to Anna because I love scrolling through LinkedIn, and then when I see someone that catches my attention, and the reason I'm going to tell you why, first of all, before I knew she did staffing, was I looked at that little ring. When you connect with Anna, go in there, and she sings a great song. Tell me what you want, what you really want. Pink. No,
Spice Girls. But I am a huge fan of Pink. My long-term goal is to get Pink on live on LinkedIn. So you all have heard it. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. All right. Yes. And I got Tubi in the house. Tubi, you definitely want to connect with Anna. Tubi's got a great thing going for him. And I'm going to take the time to show you this real quick. What he does, he lives in Florida, but he recruits over in New Jersey and New York. So he has those What's Up apps. He has so many groups. All he does, he makes the job boards, Jobs Much. Companies pay him just a small fee, free, to post jobs. And he makes the fee. And he always tells me, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. That's my kind of connection. I love it.
I love it. And then we already have, that's you.
That's me. I'm fast.
Oh, you said hello. I'm like,
I got double screens.
Oh my God. Oh, Alex, I haven't seen Alex in a while. Wow. Alex will come up with a lot of questions. So, but let's start the show here. Why don't you introduce yourself, Anna, and what you do?
Yeah, I'm Anna Morgan. I am first a mom, a wife. I have been a recruiter for 15 plus years. I am now known as the Career BFF. I help career misfits become badass job closers in 90 days by helping them get clear on what they want, build a personal brand that attracts amazing opportunities with recruiters and hiring managers, and most importantly, that aligns with their vision, their values, and what's important to them. So I have been coaching now for just over 2 years, do one-on-one, and also have a group program coming. And I cater to the career misfit. So whatever that means to you, many of us have had squiggly careers through our journey, and there's so many moving parts in that process. And I love to talk about the behind the recruiter aspect to help job search or job seekers fast track opportunities, because there's clearly a little disconnect there, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, the reason I also reached out to you, because I told you, you have a lot of energy. I was like, oh my God, on your videos and stuff like that. I'm like, I thought wasn't anybody else as crazy as I am, and because I talk so much. But what I liked about you is I like the career BFF and the
Yes.
badass. I was like, oh, I love it. I love it. Where'd you come up with that name?
Well, a friend of mine, we were brainstorming kind of ideas for my business and my brand and who I am as a human being, right? Because our personal brand matters. And I have a history of rescuing dogs. And he said, Anna Morgan, a dog's best friend. And then he was like, Anna Morgan, a career's best friend. And through that, I developed the hashtag Career BFF. And can I get some claps? I just hit 400 followers on Career BFF today. I'm like just beside myself excited. And yeah, that's how I came up with the name. And it has served me well. And many people say I embody being your career BFF. Supporting you through the roller coaster of job search, being that, loyal, supportive person to be your hype woman, but also very compassionate to, listen when you need a tender, compassionate ear, and just hold space when you're moving through rejection or not getting the results that you want. And then giving you additional tips to make make that change.
Make it. I love it.
Yeah.
But I want to jump into, because I saw a lot on your strategies here about LinkedIn. A lot of people, we're talking about doing videos, and it does really make you stand out on LinkedIn. So you think of this. This is one of the world's most powerful platforms that you have right now. Yes. We are on one of the world's biggest platform, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is for, your
it's
job.
For everyone.
Everyone. Thank you. It's not just, I get tired of hearing the same thing. Well, they're just an entry level or a forklift driver, or are they just work in a warehouse? I that gets me mad, because I'm like, I tell my daughter, you need to be on it. You have a business card right here.
Mm-hmm.
And your experience, you work a lot in LinkedIn, don't you? You do
all day long.
Wow. What are some good things what are some things that you would like to see more people do?
Well, I honestly think that your LinkedIn profile is more powerful than a resume. And I'm saying that as a woman whose eyeballs have seen millions of resumes over my 20 years of experience. And here's why, is because it allows you to showcase your personal brand. You have your cover image, which is your modern day digital billboard that says, bam, this is who I am, right? Then you have a headline that you can really maximize and optimize with the keywords, because we forget that LinkedIn is a search engine like Google. So us recruiters, we want to find you. So put the right keywords in there, but then also have that mini sales pitch at the end, have a tagline of think about what people say about you when you're not in the room, how your managers have described you in your performance reviews. Use that as a differentiator, because when we're looking at a sea of candidates with similar experience, and then we land on a profile, one that's optimized, one that's not, who are we going to connect with more if everything is equal on the resume? And then you take it to the next level, you have a great about section that talks about your career journey, some of your accomplishments, how you developed your passion for the industry that you work in. You can also let people know what you do outside of work, because all of my years sitting in bullpens, and when we're talking about our hot jobs and we bring up our candidates, I would say 90% of the time, that person's name, that candidate's name, is attached to some kind of unique story that we recruiters have picked up through our conversations of screening these candidates. It's not because it's, Kenneth that has had 10 years of experience and only 2 jobs and he's a VP. Right. It's because Kenneth is always, he has a great tagline that says, savor the flavor, and that's what prompts recruiters to take action on your profile. And then obviously you want your experience section to not, the timeline match your resume? Because if it doesn't, that's a hashtag red flag.
Red
Um,
flag.
and then
Hashtag
your
red flag. I love it. I love it.
yeah, and then your recommendations. I look at recommendations because we have to write up why we think this candidate is a good fit for a role. And if we see what your past coworkers and managers are saying, that just gives me even more ammunition to get the hiring manager excited to take action on you as the candidate.
That's the first person I heard that as reason why you should do it.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. I do want to introduce, here's Bill Bradford. He's over in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but he's in St. Louis. Good evening. Oh, he's in St. Louis.
St. Louis. Hi, Bill.
I had Bill on the show, and he does a lot of trade. We're talking about trade schools, how they're not around that much anymore. And what are we going to do? Electricians and, plumbers, all that kind of stuff. And when you said about putting on about yourself, I would have never guessed that Bill scuba dives.
Right.
Yeah. But my point there is you wouldn't have known that, when we talk, and everybody on here, yourself, when you get your threads out, all these, you get to know everybody. And if I have any questions, this is within the last 2 years, I can reach out to anyone on LinkedIn just for a question that fits what we talk about.
Absolutely. And again, obviously you have to have certain qualifications to land positions, right?
Yep.
However, connection, in my opinion, trumps qualifications a lot of the time, because we hire people that we connect with, right? We don't hire resumes. We don't hire profiles. We hire people that we connect with. So don't be afraid to use your LinkedIn profile as a way to tell your story, because again, COVID has busted this myth that we are just hiring employees. Employers are now seeing that we're more than just employees. We are moms. We are, taking care of elderly parents. We have animals in the house, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's just a way to let them in a little bit more and build that connection, which in my opinion helps convert into conversations, which then builds momentum into interviews and opportunities.
Well, what I like is, I always say people like, do you worry about what your work says? Like when you're on LinkedIn here, I always would sit there, and, wow, what if my work sees this? And my answer always to that is, it doesn't matter to me anymore. And in a way, a professional way, because this is a podcast, and listen, this is my opinions. I never come on here and I might freak out once in a while or say something. I get a lot of messages saying, why do I say different things? And it's my opinion.
Right.
We don't know it all. But my point there is, when you're putting yourself out there on LinkedIn and, they're watching a show like this, everybody here, the relationships, and would you trust me or would I trust Anna Morgan?
Right.
Would you trust you? Do you look like a trustworthy person? Do you think your work is going to say, Anna, you said something bad tonight on LinkedIn? I think you could be professional, and also, I know not to go to politics and I don't do all that stuff. I just
thank you.
Work related, anything like that, I'll cut the program off. Nope. See you later, everybody. But do you believe when I say that, like, you get to know the person more now than you ever did before?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first started getting active on LinkedIn, and I've been on the platform since 2006, and it really wasn't until
wow, I didn't even know.
I know, and I used it as just a place to hunt for business, right? As a business development professional in the staffing world, and then to update if I made a move. And then I started noticing things changing a little bit on LinkedIn, and hired Judy Fox to, teach me the ins and outs of LinkedIn. And so I started with commenting, and then I started testing out with a little bit of content. And I had the same fears. I was like, oh, what is my employer going to think? I did get permission to co-market Career BFF and represent the organization. So I got that blessing first. So if you are employed and want to share content, and you have your own side hustle, definitely look at the social media policy. But I definitely had anxiety. Like, what are people going to think? I'm stupid? Is this relevant? How do I add value? And I can't tell you how many people would stop by my cube and be like, I love what you're doing on LinkedIn.
Oh, I love it. I love
And
it.
then after I experienced my layoff, I received several messages from MVPs that I used to work with. And one of them specifically said, we've been championing to get you back. And I truly believe part of the reason that I was top of mind to come back as a contractor was because they couldn't stop seeing my mug on LinkedIn.
I like everybody here. I wouldn't have met anybody here, and that's what I love about this. Everybody, when I go on the show, listen, some new people join, some leave, and but you build relations, and and everybody, you get to see who sees you. Some people you can hide your premium and all that, and I
You
saw
can go
that.
in,
I think the other day, one of the persons from my work looked at me. I'm, oh my God, here we go. That's the first one. And I was like, oh my God, am I going to have a job tomorrow? But do you feel it's, can it be when let me ask, when you're interviewing a candidate and you ask them, about your LinkedIn profile and you look at it, do you make a suggestion to them or do you coach them towards that? Or do you try to let them be themselves, if that makes sense?
It depends, part of the reason I'm very empathic, right? And I have great intuition and my energy serves me well. Like I'm energetically intelligent. So when I'm conversing with people, I pay attention to that, right? And that will really signal me if it is appropriate or makes sense to step into that space of coaching, right? Most of the time I try to leave my coaching hat to the side and really just look for the key things that I'm focused on through the conversation.
Right.
Now, if they ask me, if they've seen the work that I've done, if they've checked out my profile and they mention it, and they specifically ask me for feedback on the resume, I will definitely give that. Now, I did have a situation the other day where I interviewed a candidate and she was in between roles. And I said, I love your energy. I love how you interview. I said, your resume is graphically beautiful, but it's lacking depth. So here's what I suggest that you do. Based on my track record of placing people with this team, I know that they would have questions about your resume. So take the job description, look at your experience, and see if it inspires additional content that you can add to the resume, because it was very light in descriptions, right? For someone who was probably 5 to 10 years in the professional world. And she was surprised and delighted, took fast action on it. And now when I have the position that I believe is going to be good for her, now I have her ready to go in my pipeline, and even may take it a step further and market her proactively to that team to see what they may have coming up for the first of the year.
And that makes total sense, because social media like Facebook and that stuff's different. Let's face it. I mean, it is different platform. Do I tell some of the candidates? Do I look at them? Sometimes I do. Majority of the time, I don't really do it. I mean, if I'm hiring somebody,
I'm typically not going to go digging around Facebook or Instagram, or I would probably look at LinkedIn first, Twitter second.
Yeah, that's true. I like that idea.
If I just felt like I needed to get to know them a little bit more. I mean, recruiters are like professional stalkers. We could be also, FBI agents with the sleuthing that we do.
I love it. Tuvia makes sense, because I told you you got to connect with him. Just listen to what he does.
Yeah, I would love to send me a connection request so we can have a coffee chat.
I reached a level where some employers will hire a candidate. Yes, he just can refer them because they trust him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing that you've been in the staffing industry. If you could build that trust, just like with the clients. Mm-hmm. When they're looking now, if they see you out there doing live videos, or if they see you talking about your coaching and do what you do for candidates, you do a lot. I looked at your profile. I'm like, wow. I could see it.
That's why job seekers need to be socially visible on LinkedIn as well, and sharing their leadership voice to attract those recruiters. because it works the same way there. It builds trust. You're giving social proof. And yeah, sometimes you see the highlight reel, right? I'm a lot sillier on TikTok and Instagram than I am
No, go figure when they see that little video.
my little ring.
I love it.
But I also believe in a fun, inspired approach to help maintain your sanity as an entrepreneur, as a job seeker. And for selfish reasons, that's why I show up the way I do, because like you, I've kind of reached that point in my career. I'm like, I don't want to be on my deathbed someday and be like, I didn't go for it, right? Yep. We only have one life, and then you put this pandemic on top of it, and it's like, it's go time. I mean, there's no reason to hide. And my thought for job seekers, they're worried about ageism and bias and discrimination, and it's like, I get that, but if you're showing up as your true authentic self and you're sharing your leadership and the things that you've accomplished, if you're repelling people that are like that, then they're not for you. And that's the same thing in entrepreneurship. I'm sure people might look at my little ring of fire and be like, that woman is a goofball. I will never buy coaching services for her. And that's fine. That's not my ideal client, right?
I love it. That you're there telling the truth. I have a short story. I came home tonight and I seen an envelope in my door, and the mother had called me. Her son, 18 years old, he's very autistic. He loves cyber security, very good at it. And she left his resume on my door, slid with a note, and wanted to know if I could help. And I was like, I'm blown away by it. And, I looked at his resume. I'm going to have him come over here Sunday and sit down with him. And I'm going to teach him on LinkedIn. I want to get him, very autistic.
Yes.
But he wants to know what he can do better. So that made me feel really well, that knowing you come home here, you got a resume sitting by your door.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the power of being visible, right? And I had a friend that I went to college with. Many of you don't know this, but I failed out of college in 1996. I'm ADHD. I've never been a good student. And I went back to school and finished my degree while I was working full-time in staffing, and graduated in 2006. And one of my cohort members reached out to me. She's a HR leader for the Salvation Army. And it was like we had just picked right back up, and she wanted to talk about the challenges that their centers are having staffing, and if I had any new ideas. And I'm now going to come present to their teams on some innovative ideas. And, we talked about LinkedIn, we talked about TikTok as avenues to be visible as an organization, especially to attract the Gen Z and millennial and younger talent.
You have to. I haven't gotten into TikTok yet, whatever it is. Not even once.
My husband always says, is TikTok a dance?
Here's one for you if you want to take from Alex.
Where do you start with someone who has long-term goals of reaching C-level positions with so many different paths and needing knowledge in most of them? Where do you start?
Someone's long-term goals of reaching a C-level position with so many different paths, needing knowledge in most of them. Is that versus experience versus the schooling and education? Is that what he's talking about, Alex? Or
I think it probably comes down to, kind of not knowing your background, Alex, is make sure that you're working for or targeting an organization that, is a brand or organization that, you're genuinely interested in, right? And that you've done some informational interviews to get a true read on leadership and the opportunity. And then I really think it's one about putting in the time. Two, it's about proving that you're a valuable employee. Three, it's about asking for mentors within the organization. And then four, it's networking within the organization and positioning yourself. Always thinking 5 steps ahead of, okay, these 2 years I'm going to be an analyst. And then the next 2 years I'm going to be a senior analyst. And then I'm going to move into a manager, senior manager, and then on up to those roles. Now, it looks like based on just his picture, he might have a faster track of opportunity where some of us Gen Xers we get stuck because baby boomers and above aren't ready to leave their positions yet.
And I really enjoy when they ask questions like this. You've had some good questions, and really people look at you for advice. And I believe
and I love like just riffing and brainstorming and all of those things. That's why I created kind of like a career BFF retainer where it's like phone a friend, phone a career BFF.
I love it. And Tuvia said he helped somebody. It is a good feeling, Tuvia. I think it's going to be great. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I'm going to work on this and get him a LinkedIn. I'm going to work on his resume and put some stuff on there. And then I'm just going to do my best to help out, and you know yourself, you really want to help everybody. It's hard. I did see somebody else on here. Let's see. Alex is a few mountains away from sea level. You got time. All right. Center. I'm terrible with names. Center.
I'm very bad at. That's why job seekers, you need to put the enunciation in your profile. That helps recruiters not have that awkward moment where we're trying to pronounce your name the right way, because we truly do want to pronounce your name the right way. But if you can make it easy for us and record it on your profile, we thank you greatly.
Kenny called me out on. Kenny calls me out on everything. If I say a name wrong, he'll send me a voice message on LinkedIn saying, "Dave, you said the name wrong," and he'll laugh. And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Kenny. That made me feel really well." I wanted to talk to you about when you say with the recruiting experience and coaching, getting your results. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing on your jobs to help people? And what do you coach them with your resumes, LinkedIn? Is there anything else that you work for them? Are you trying to find them a direct hire position?
Well, I mean, that's the nice thing about, having a career BFF is that I am extraordinarily well connected. So you do get access to my goal to be like Kevin Bacon, the 7 degrees of Anna Morgan. So a lot of it, is mindset, it's clarity. I focus a lot on self-care and your routines and your environment to make sure that you're supporting yourself to be your best self, right? Resume mechanics. Again, all the tips, kind of my experience as a recruiter. What are the different types of recruiters? How do you manage up to them? What are red flags to look for? Best ways to communicate when you follow up, because I truly believe this battle between the candidate's the bad guy, the recruiter's the bad guy, it comes down to a breakdown in communication. And you've probably received this. I can't tell you how many DMs I get where people are like, "Oh, I see you're a recruiter." And they send a resume and say, "Let me know if you have a match."
I know.
That puts all the work back on the recruiter, and it makes it difficult for me to respond, because I'm like, okay, I'm working 30, 40 positions. What position? Where are you? What type of candidate are you? Set the stage for the person who's receiving the message. So then we can go, "Oh, okay, you're this type of candidate. I am recruiting, or I'm not. I can put you in touch with the right recruiter that way." Because just as recruiters are sometimes busy drinking out of a fire hose, job seekers can be a little spammy, right? And they can just mass apply to, 37 positions at one organization. And that doesn't make you look super great either, because we remember names.
Tuvia had a question for you.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is more scalable, role models or job mentors?
Good question.
More scalable. So I'm going to flip this to say more impactful, or that will provide more transformation. I believe it is mentors. Specifically, if you find a mentor that has what you want, right? And I picked up that phrase. I have been abstinent from alcohol for 10 years and been an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And they always talk about, stick with the winners, like look to build those connections and friendships and, to try to be like them, essentially. And that's your mentor or your sponsor, right? Are they embodying the leadership characteristics that you hope to have one day? So that's what I would say to answer that question. Sorry, I was trying to look for the question.
No, let's see. I never see Senator's comments. Okay, that's something different there. When it comes to recruiters, and like you said, I like how you said, there's a lot of pressure on them. There's a lot. Candidates put a lot on LinkedIn here. It's so do recruiters. And my opinion is there are a great lot of recruiters. There are really ones that really want to help you, and they'll go that extra mile. Now, the ones that
but we are human.
Yeah, and the ones that everybody says, well, they're not a good recruiter, they don't do this. I always say, I'm sorry. I feel sometimes it's not their fault. Because if your manager is allowed, like I look at some of the social media postings for jobs. Right. They're horrible. Mm-hmm. So I always try to say, listen, build that up, that you're representing that company. Why would you just spell it wrong? Why would you just not put, and I do it in a professional way, but
sure.
Management is responsible for your team. They need to teach that recruiter what to do. If you're getting a lot of complaints, work with the recruiter and teach them. Maybe they don't know. Maybe he or she doesn't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to recruit for IT. I don't know IT, like that.
I mean, did you, in high school or college, or come out of the military and say, I'm going to be a recruiter? I would say most of us accidentally fell into recruiting. I mean, I was selling print advertising one day and I was done. And I saw Apple One was a retail staffing agency. I walked in, I was like, I just want to do anything other than sell advertising. And they recruited me in, and I learned the basics of selling and recruiting and freaking loved it. And here I am today. So, but it's a fascinating industry. And I truly believe that the people that choose to be in recruiting do have the best intentions. I agree with you that there is a lack of training in how to support, especially, newcomers into the industry. And I believe we've had an influx of inexperienced people that maybe were hospitality folks, salespeople that, were able to get a recruiting role. But in theory, recruiting should be simple, but the execution of it is way complicated. And that's what
you even said on your thing here that you feel bad for a lot of recruiters. I see in your postings here how you really feel bad for someone because they do such a good job and they're kind of talked about, bad. Everything's bad. You never really hear on LinkedIn that much. I found a wonderful recruiter that found me a great job, that called me on the weekend, that told me to come in early Monday morning. I did everything for her. I made her $55,000 a year extra. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I mean, and that's why a lot of times I'm sharing that content. And was one of my tips this week is, to follow up with your recruiters. Here's some best practices around it. And then share a post about people that you've had great interactions with. And if it's a recruiter, even better, because again, I'm on a mission to break down this stigma that, recruiters are just transactional. They're just in it for the commission. They don't care about the employees. But, we're seeing the reverse. My friend Ediana Rosen did a really hilarious TikTok where she role plays interviewing a candidate, and the candidate says, well, did you look at my resume? And she's like, well, yes. And the candidate's like, well, then tell me about myself.
Oh my God,
so the tables keep turning. And I think, with everything that's going on in the world right now, building the relationships and being kind and being intentional in your communication because of social media, when we've connected with people or had, conversations in the DMs, 2 or 3 years may go by, and then ding, 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 that same person that you either had a great experience with or not so great experience with, maybe at your ideal employer, or maybe looking to recruit you again. So you never want to burn bridges and just maintain those relationships because things are moving incredibly fast.
Yeah, because I always sit there and say I won't dog the company that I know about, that they all know, and I'm like, I want to say something, but I'm like, it was only one. I'm done. Tit for tat's over. I'm a lot better now. There, I breathe. It's out, and it's okay because my life wouldn't be where it's at today. You know, and I think things sometimes happen for a reason. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you always look at that, and would I be doing a show this? No, probably not. Who knows? And my question to you, when a candidate comes to you, how do you really say this person needs a lot of work that you're really trying to build up? Do they take your advice seriously, or do they try to just, do you work with them to not make
Well,
it favorite or?
My goal is, whether I'm recruiting or I'm deciding to work with a coaching client, the ultimate goal is to mutually determine if we're right for each other, right?
Yeah.
And again, I rely a lot on my intuition and my just judgment of working with people, as I have in my entire career. I ask questions to gauge how willing they are to take the actions on the things I suggest, right? And I do a lot of discovery, because I have found the clients that I've had the most success with is really, peeling back all the layers and really understanding them as a human being, and understanding what it was like, what happened, and where they're looking to go moving forward.
That makes a lot of sense. Asking questions.
So it's sometimes they don't take the action, right? And that's on them. Part of being a coach is I'm there to be an accountability partner, to set the foundation that these are the steps in this container, that if you do A through F, you will have more momentum. You will have more eyeballs on your profile. You will get more interviews. However, if you can't find the time or be disciplined enough, which is why I talk about the scheduling and the self-care and how they feel about themselves, because all of those are intertwined in how they show up in the world. And so if we don't work on maybe some of the emotional stuff, and some people have said, oh, Anna, you could be like a life coach. Well, that's just because I've had a lot of life experiences myself. So
oh my God,
I can support them through a myriad of ups and downs. So it's really about trusting the person. If someone chooses to work with me, I always encourage them to turn down the noise from all the other voices out there and just trust me for that 7 to 12 weeks, step by step. And those that do have success, and those that don't, it's a slower process. But sometimes they're not ready to shoot out of the cannon.
I have a good question for you here, because I try to tell people about LinkedIn again. Here you are, you've lost your job. We've all seen it. I try to reach out to as many I can for the show here to have an interview. Some people tell me, no, it's not me. And I'm like, listen, take that chance. Take that one leap. The worst thing that can happen is, listen, I forget what I'm saying. Freeze, different things when you interview.
You stumble over your words. I mean, I was on a live the other day and I was like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
who cares? And that's the
thing.
It's that whole concept, if not now, when. And, like all your amazing people that are here tonight, and you're flashing their name up on the screen, and my second and third degree followers, you just never know. And I have seen time and time again, there are so many people that make hiring decisions or buying decisions, and they do not engage on the platform. And so you just have to trust those that have gone before you. And that's another reason that it's so important that you're doing the work that you're doing, and that we keep showing up in this way, because we're giving people permission and encouraging them to take that first step.
It is, because I've told candidates, listen, you want a job at this area, say Pepsi, right? I got laid off. Okay. Put something on LinkedIn. Okay, you're looking for work. Post your resume, whatever you want to do, but then go after that company.
Build your target list.
Find out who that friggin' manager is, because I don't care. I'm going to get my resume in front of that manager if I have to send a letter and say, can you imagine if you're on LinkedIn, Anna, and somebody sends you, you are hiring, hi, Anna, my name is Dave Wilson, attach my resume. Listen, I could really need some helpers, or possibly you could help me to get my resume in front of the right person. What are you going to say? What is a person going to say to you besides no way? No. Take that chance.
The one little tweak I would say into that is we have to earn the right to ask for help, in my professional opinion.
All right.
So if it, say it was me and say you want to work at the company I'm recruiting for, you want to do some work ahead of time, right? Look at most
Okay.
recent press releases, look at a specific job opening, and say, I just got laid off. I'm in your industry. I've looked at the careers page. I don't see something that's perfect for me. However, these are the top 3 positions I typically apply for. And here's 3 bullet points about me. I can imagine that you're very busy. If you'd be open to a 15-minute chat, I'd be extraordinarily grateful, to have a conversation. So something like that. Again, it makes it easy for me to respond to the inquiry because, of course,
Right.
yes, I'm going to say help. Yes, I'm going to. Yes.
Yeah, you want to help. I mean, I or hashtag the heck out of them. I don't care. At least the company, at the company, put 20 on there that you want to work for. Like, get your name. Let them see a great professional post. Like you said, content. Like when you doing shows. I like to do tomorrow. I'll do a post. Today I did a live video 2 days in a row. I'll do a post on a Friday and then a Saturday and a Sunday night show. But I want to showcase my skill set in between.
Right.
It's not just coming on live, but I learn a lot from you, and I learn a lot, like you say, you learn a lot from different people. But
absolutely. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing about this platform is we all have unique perspectives and histories. And when we step into these shows and these conversations, we're creating this ripple effect and giving people tools to use in their tool belt, which elevates their leadership voice and elevates potential opportunities for them as well.
To get there, Tuvia, make yourself stand out. And then he says, send HR donuts.
I have a fun picture of me because I was the recruiter with the Krispy Kreme hat on with my big old bag of hot donuts, walking in, trying to get the business or walking in a class that I was starting on that Monday. So donuts and bagels go a long way.
Well, HR scares the living hell out of me still. I don't care. I'm 55 and they're not calling me in to say, Dave, you're doing such a great job. You know what? We want to give you a raise. They don't do that to me. It's always, all right, what did I do wrong? Just tell me now, sit me down. Here we go. Especially when you walk in, you have somebody else on a conference call. Oh boy, there goes your stomach. And I always joke around with HR. HR, and you've been in HR,
Well, talent acquisition works so closely with HR, compensation, payroll. Yeah.
And it's scary because it's the same thing. You have to work on both sides. A good HR director, listen, like you said, if I don't know it, I'm not going to give the person, go to HR. They will really help you. I think they're underutilized sometimes because of that reason of saying, listen, if you have problems, I've said, listen, if your manager, anybody, that's what they're there for. Not just to let you go.
Yes. It's not always to talk about, to HR when it's performance review time.
No.
And I think that's on the employers, in my opinion, to provide more efficient communication to associates to let them know the purpose of HR, because they see HR as police or firemen and women or the protectors to keep, us from getting sued and making sure that we're compliant. And they're supposed to be all about the people and keeping the people and developing the people and working in collaboration with all the other business units to create great results for everyone involved.
It does. And I always look at human resources handles a lot of the recruiting now. So I'm always like, I'm not sure if they went to college and said, I want to be a recruiter. You know what I mean? It's evolved. Even like yourself in staffing for 15 years ago, you didn't really have the duties that you did now.
We were faxing resumes when I started staffing.
That's what I mean. You weren't even, it was like, all right, mail it, send it out. There wasn't the email. I don't
Thank
even
goodness
remember.
Computers came along with, they were on the desk, but we were like still faxing, maybe even spamming resumes over to companies, like tracking down their fax numbers. So, but I think HR and talent teams are faced with so much right now. And I believe that we are going to hopefully see a new way of recruiting and onboarding and creating remarkable experiences for job seekers, because it is now that we're having such a challenge hiring people. The men and women at the boardroom tables
Yep.
are like, man, we should have really paid attention to HR and talent
I
because now
know.
we really need their help. Or maybe, and that's another thing is like, add a couple $100 to the budget to build a great talent and HR team, so you're not having to deal with the cost of turnover. And
I like how you said that. That's the big thing, because exactly, I was going to go there with that. Tobias says amen. He says amen on that. You do, because you want to be ever to reduce the turnover. That's the whole point of it, to make your job easier. But I want to end with this. Is always like, first of all, I want to appreciate your time. I mean,
this has been an amazing conversation. Like I said, I can talk staffing and recruiting all night long.
We're already 40. I looked, I was like 45 minutes. I was like, wow, we're doing pretty good. I didn't even get into all this. I do all this I did all this for you.
Look at all those trees you burned.
I print out I go on everybody's posts and I print out a little bit what I want to hit. But I didn't even turn these pages because I have all your.
Well, you can have me back. I can have you on my show in 2022. We'll keep the conversation going.
But I want you to, if you could take the minute and explain what you do again and your advice to a job seeker today. That's a question, huh?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm a job search strategy coach. I am a career misfit turned career BFF, and I really seek to serve the career underdog, basically, right? Maybe someone who has tried a couple different things, that needs to make a pivot, that is dealing with low self-confidence and can't really get that clarity that they're looking for in their next position. And then as far as advice for job seekers like this week, is to, one, keep the momentum going with your job search. And I know it feels like we're getting super close to, the new year, but I mean, I opened 2 or 3 new positions today. So one, you're also going to start seeing postings for Q1. So after the holidays, your competition triples. So use this time during the holidays. If you are working and you're so burnt out, you haven't had time to reach out to a coach or a mentor or to get your resume fixed up, this is the time to do it, and start that momentum now. That's why I created this advent calendar, to keep you motivated. But because your competition triples in January 1st, everybody gets super excited and like, I'm going to get the new job. Well, you're competing with 3 times more people than you were in October and November.
And that's true. And, I try to just be yourself, be authentic and just be yourself, and don't go that extra step. Do something different,
Well, and that's what companies, especially with all the startups and the tech world. I mean, if you've been around on LinkedIn long enough and you've read enough stories, I saw this fantastic video, and I'll send it to you, Dave. I can't remember her name. But her husband posted it on her behalf, and it was a video that she made to grab the attention of her now employer. So don't be afraid to implement grassroots methodologies to get noticed. And that's why, like, my upcoming course is Be Found First. Is my brain is different than your normal recruiter and your standard career coach, right? So I'm gonna come up with these unique ideas and make you reach an edge, right? Get you out of your comfort zone. But if you trust me, stick around until the miracles happen. And just don't be afraid, because if not now, when? There's no time like today to make the ask, show up on LinkedIn, share your story, reach out, model success after people on LinkedIn that you see, sharing content that resonates with you. It's not copying someone. If you see a formula in a post that you like the storytelling and you think of a situation of yours that's similar, test it out. And, my experience with posting content is those that I work on really hard, they usually fall flat. The ones where I roll out of bed and I have this on my mind and hit send, those are the ones that get 25,000 views. And I'm like,
I wanted to, Flora, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. But if I had to say, and we're going to end it here, if I had to say what I've learned from you is through my mind as I was listening to you talk tonight is build up. Everything that you said from like Misfits and helping, I can see that you want to help people and build them up. They need to do the work. I'm going to say I've learned from you already. They need to do the work because when you countered me on that one question, it made a lot of sense.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to push back.
Well, it is because that's the greatest thing about the show is like, wow, there's a difference of opinion.
And that's why I can't wait to do more lives in 2022 because there's so many people that I want to have great conversations with, like you, because I've been watching your show and I've seen the things that you've done, and again, it's giving people permission to keep leveling up, keep learning, and taking that step, because we all know it just takes one connection that could be that perfect person to open that amazing door for an opportunity that could literally change your life.
I never forget when I was driving and I got the call that I got this job, and I literally pulled over and I was like, thank you. You get that feeling of, wow, that excitement that I don't care what age, here I go talking about my age. I don't care what age you got that job, yes. But I want to thank you so much. And
thank
please,
you.
Everybody here, please connect with Anna. And I know Tubio wants you to connect because he's going to talk to you about his staffing, what he does. So
I would love that.
Awesome. That note, you're definitely going to be back. I really enjoyed this. And
anytime. This was super fun. Thank you for reaching out. And again, to everyone, live and team replay, show up to the lives, network in the comments, and ask for those coffee chats, and just watch the ripple effect and fun community continue to expand. So grateful for the opportunity to be here today.
Thanks. And I'm going to talk to you right after this video. So thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.